In this video, we'll take a look at PMDG's Universal Flight Tablet and use it during an arrival to Los Angeles International Airport, LAX. We'll also show how easy it is to set up for an ILS approach using the tablet. We can import flight details from simbrief.com, including the weather report. We can now set the altimeter setting, which we'll need later. The airport code is pre-populated, and a search by chart type, in this case arrivals, shows us the available charts. To make it easier, we can pin the charts to save a small selection to work from. The chart can be made full screen, and we can also zoom in. This chart is for the Ermin 2 arrival, and our position is shown on the chart. Reviewing the chart, we can see altitude and speed restrictions on the approach, and we can make sure they are in the FMC. On reviewing the chart notes, a note tells us to expect runway 24 right, unless otherwise assigned by ATC. So let's take a look at the approach plates for that runway, pin the one we want, and use it to set up for the approach. There's an ILS approach to 24 right, so select that chart. We check it is the right chart, then use the briefing strip to set up for the approach. Working left to right, we start by checking the correct ILS frequencies are set. Next is the final approach course of 251 degrees, which is set on the MCP. For situational awareness during the approach, we add a 2-mile ring around the final approach fix. We check each leg is correct, including on the missed approach. We select a flaps 30 approach ref speed by double-clicking on R2, the second button down on the right side of the FMC. And we set auto brakes to 2. Next, we set the decision altitude of 322 feet. The tablet also has a performance tool, making it easy to calculate runway required. An approach brief discusses the approach, starting with verbalizing threats during the approach, such as high terrain. The brief would then sound like this: we're planning an ILS approach to 24 right at LAX, chart 11-6, effective May 14, 21, with an effective date of 20th of May. The frequency is 108.5, inbound course 251 degrees, and the final approach fix is at 2,200 feet. Decision altitude is 322 feet, and touchdown zone is 122 feet. MSA is 7,700 feet to the north, 4,200 to the west, and 2,700 to the southeast. Terrain mode is selected. If we go missed, we'll climb to 2,000 feet and head out to rafts where we'll hold as published. There's Poppy on the left side and L Self 2 lighting. We need 1,800 feet or half a mile. The weather is above that. The runway is 8,926 feet long, more than our landing assessment. It'll be a left turn off. There are hotspots and another runway to cross. The runway length for the HUD can be found on this chart. ATC at larger airports may assign a standard taxi route, so we'll pin those instructions in case needed after landing. This saves the controller from listing each taxiway to use, as the route has been predefined. The Universal Flight Tablet has enabled us to follow our position on the arrival. We also used it to set up and brief the ILS approach. Approaching the bottom altitude on the arrival, we can switch to the approach plate. When ATC assign an altitude below the arrival's bottom altitude, we set it on the MCP and use level change, which will give us an idle descent. We were assigned 4,000 feet. Looking at the approach, we could anticipate a turn to join the final approach at Merce. As anticipated, a beam Merce were cleared to Merce and cleared for the ILS approach. Checking the final approach fix altitude, we can set that on the MCP and let the aircraft descend using VNAV until outside the fix, when we'll switch to approach mode. Notice the aircraft is in altitude hold. To change to VNAV path, we close the speed window. Once in VNAV path, we can reopen the speed window and maintain 210 knots until slowed.
Approaching minimums. 200 minimums. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
The aircraft position is also shown on the airport diagram, improving situational awareness. We hope you enjoyed this look at PMDG's Universal Flight Tablet and how to use it to set up, brief, and fly an ILS approach. Please subscribe to learn of our future videos and click like if you found this of interest. Thank you.